Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
All right, thanks for joining me tonight on Radio Motion's Tuesday Trouble. Hope you're enjoying the rock out scene that we're having. Like I said, it's sort of the kind of songs that it feels like you might be in trouble just for listening to them, but you definitely get pumped up and possibly want to get into trouble, although I don't condone that in any way. All right, we'll be back with some great music, but first up, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And The Ugly Truth is, well, I still don't know what's going on in the movie sphere because it just seems hit and miss. I tell you, for the past, I could easily say 8 years, definitely the past 5 years, and we get some gems now and again. I won't deny that, but for a lot of us, regular movie goers and even the super nerds, I think we're getting superhero fatigue as much as I love, sci-fi and comics and the Marvel Universe and DC and Batman and Superman and the whole gang and Iron Man and all mixed up. Marvel and DC, they're always battling to succeed or fail. Marvel, for the most part, for a good 10 years, certainly showed that they succeeded. But, they've dropped off big time, I'm sorry to say. So I'm going to talk about tonight a movie trailer that finally dropped, and that's Marvel Doomsday. And look, even if you're a casual movie fan, I'm going to talk about very, very generalized things about movies in general and what I think we've come to expect and what we've been let down with lately. And of course, for everyone who is a huge Marvel fan, I'll get stuck into some very nerdy aspects and details. For myself, look, like I always say, this is just my opinion, and everyone is allowed one. You may have your own, but I think a lot of times, especially with movies like these, there's a shared audience and shared fans, and for the most part, there's a shared experience. And although everyone's opinion varies, I think in general, it's been hit and miss with the past 5 years easily, and certainly since Endgame. And that was a huge accomplishment, I think, for Marvel, in that they really cultivated movies and characters over 10 years. And that's fantastic, And as I always say, I give props to the first movie, Iron Man, and Jon Favreau. Again, whatever he's doing at Lucasfilm, I don't know. He's kind of gone off the rails, but I do give him that he kicked off a movie that they took a bit of a gamble on, starting with a character that frankly is household name, and Robert Downey Jr., of course, brought him to life. But before that, Superman and Batman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man. I'll give you those as the top four that normies know. Everyone knows that. And to say Iron Man, I think there's a comic book. He's got an iron suit. That was about it. So again, props to them for starting and kicking it off with a character like that essentially the entire universe was shaped around Iron Man, at least for that phase. They love their phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and let's just say all the phases, nowadays are a bit lackluster. So, like I say, the reason I'm giving that backstory for all the super fans who know, but for the average moviegoer, I'm sure you would have recognized that for 10 years, a huge Marvel hero, movie came out, and all did well. But again, I think it's because they took the time to cultivate the characters, story, a direction, and a coherent, connectivity, weaving together all those movies, ultimately getting to the big finales of the Infinity Wars and Thanos and Endgame, and it worked. Billions poured in. Not that it's about the money, but unfortunately, the money does reflect the moviegoers' willingness to go to the movies and pay for this thing, considering how expensive movies are these days. And after that, look, the movies were all hit and miss. I'm not going to go into each one. I'm just saying, whether I'm a super fan or a casual moviegoer, even as a huge Marvel fan, I don't know. They're just not speaking to me. But God knows, yes, I know I'm just a patriarchal, evil white male. No one's talking to you anymore. Well, I think a good movie should speak to everyone. And inclusivity, yeah, that's a word that they love. Well, sometimes inclusivity ends up being exclusion, and you alienated most of the fans by being so specific and niche. You can't do that. That doesn't work for the general audience, for the wider population of the world. So again, that's all I'll say about those movies. They targeted too small of an audience, and nobody showed up. Funny enough, not even the audience they targeted showed up. So that didn't work on many levels. So various movies and TV shows since the big first 10 years and the Infinity, saga, TV shows, and I feel like you have to keep up with them, or you're not sure who's that now and what's this plot. And some of those will probably spill over to this movie, but I'm sure they'll stop and explain. All right, everyone caught up? This is this person. So look, we'll get stuck into that after that sort of historical rant about where Marvel was and how they did so well and how far they've fallen, that everyone is excited to see the trailer and the movie, but we're all doing this, commenting that, I'm worried because they've had a lot of fails. So yes, Marvel Doomsday. And look, there's no spoilers here. These are just known plot leaks and assumptions that you can find anywhere, and it's not going to wreck the movie because they're already out there. And if you don't know that Robert Downey Jr. is returning as Dr. Doom, then I can't help you. And yeah, sure, that is the front runner of probably why this could work, but also maybe it's not enough for him anymore. He doesn't have the gravitas to save this. And by the way, it's been ages since we finally got a trailer. It seems like it's been far too long. Something finally to talk about. So again, a bit of a breakdown. It opens with Charles Xavier, and it's great. Yes, it's going to bring all the Marvel universes, the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and all the favorites that we know all together, and Thor and Black Panther and Ant-Man, and yes, I'll get into whether that's going to be a bit too much, but it opens with Charles Xavier, and he's seemingly witnessing the destruction of a planet. Now, obviously, you can't necessarily see that from your window, so it's more than likely it's something to where he's actually watching it, or he's seeing it through his sort of telepathic abilities, more than likely. And there's the belief that this world being destroyed, and again, if you're a Marvel fan, it's all about the multiverse, and that's the big MacGuffin that moves everything these days. And that's how they get away with making all kinds of wild changes, because they'll say, well, that was this universe. Let's leave that one there and let's go into this one. But look, they're sticking with that, and this is probably how a lot of this will culminate in changes they want to make. It's a good way to make changes and go, well, that's not working, so let's say that universe blew up, and we're going to start with this one. So the word on the street is that world that Xavier is seeing destroyed, whether in his mind's eye or in reality, is one of the many, multiverse has multiple Earths, multiple everything, and there's all different things going on, and different heroes on those planets, and that's how they explain why there's so many different Spider-Men. Not that there's just different actors who get older and they have to pick new ones, but It's a good way, especially for live action movies. So the planet that he's seeing being destroyed is supposedly the Tobey Maguire, the GOAT Spider-Man. And that would make everyone quite sad if that were real, because, we don't want Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. Sure, he's getting older. He's got Spidey back pains, but hey, that's pretty harsh. But there's also the theory that ties back to the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which was popular. Plenty of member berries, and everyone got into it. Yeah, I thought it was good. But apparently that ties into that movie, and they're part of that. They actually were part of helping to destroy that world on purpose, from orders of the X-Men. Again, this is getting nerdy, but that's okay. That's what we want to do. You're seeing in the trailer multiple Avengers teams now. This gets a bit out of control. I'm a believer in there's one set of Avengers, unless they all die, all of them, or they all agree to pass on the torch. You can't just say we're the new Avengers, but that's also been happening in the movies, in the succession of movies after Endgame. There's the movie The Thunderbolts, that ragtag group, which was supposed to be, they were supposed to be the new Avengers, and that was all hush hush, and I don't know if that went over well. So you've also got the Sam Wilson, who is the pseudo new Captain America. Again, nothing about the actor. I still think that actor, I've seen him in so many other movies, and he is great. He's a good actor, but I think he got a raw deal. He was great as the Falcon. They should have kept him as that, and has nothing to do with him personally. It's just hard. It'd be like, look, it's like replacing Harrison Ford. It's as simple as that. Replacing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones or Han Solo, and just saying, here's a new one. You're Han Solo now. You're Indiana Jones just because we said so. It's a lot for people to take. So for him to be the new Captain America has never really gone down anyway. But so he's got his team of Avengers. So there's all kinds of Avengers fighting. And we get our first look at Doctor Doom, but with the mask. And I think, they're wise not to reveal too much. That makes sense. They're hoping his presence alone should carry enough weight, which is probably what fans are hoping for. Reveal it slowly. That's fine. Whether we know what we know or not, it's pretty cool. Again, a lot of familiar faces: Ant-Man, Black Panther, the Fantastic Four, which again was a newer movie that came out. Not terrible. Again, had a kind of that cool 60s on purpose, that 60s feel. The whole world had the cool, what was envisioned of the future from the 60s. Fancy future cars with the future curves of flying cars and the metropolis that was pictured back then, especially from a comic book sense. That was cool. I liked that movie. There's a lot of faces. But I think, so that's the thing. This is why I'm worried about it. It's going to be a giant meet and greet. It's $1 billion meet and greet movie, because when you put that many people in there, and I know movies are getting longer, and I'll sit there for 3 hours. I'm getting older. I might have to go to the restroom or get the smaller Coke because I can't handle it. That's fine. But if the entire movie is just, you've packed it with so many people that everyone gets about 10 minutes worth times 3 hours. Hey, how you doing? Oh, let's work together. Hey, let's fight together. Oh, I know you. It's just a giant meet and greet. I just hope it's not that, because do the characters get enough time to be meaningfully developed? And again, I'd rather a movie with less characters, some pivotal characters to really get deep into what they're dealing with. I think Captain America, the Winter Soldier, was a perfect example of that. So all the other Avengers were off doing their own thing. They were all troubles at the time. This was about him and what he was dealing with. And funny enough, it was about oversight of government surveillance. Isn't that funny that we're actually there now? That's another podcast. That movie was great. You just focused on the one, because, frankly, 2 hours to unpack one human's problems and psyche, yeah, I mean, that's asking a lot right there. So yeah, I feel like there might be too many people. We see Thor. I'm glad to see him. That's one of the biggest positives, to see a more serious Thor. I think Chris Hemsworth absolutely owns that part. I can't picture anyone else as Thor. The minute I hear his voice, even, I'm sorry to say, when he's in other movies, he's stuck now. He's very typecast. He is Thor, but he is playing the more stronger, more regal version of the character, which again, he is supposed to be from another planet that is very much more evolved than Earth is, and all of our petty human problems. And he's giving a motivational speech, rallying the various teams together, saying, if you all fight amongst yourselves, again, this is a similar theme to the original Avengers movie, but it's okay. I'm sure that would happen with all these different personalities. And I think now that does make me happy right there, because I think they really did Thor wrong in the Infinity Wars Endgame, and they made him fat and comedic, and Thor: Love and Thunder. That was just ridiculous. It turned full comedy. It's okay to have the light Marvel comedy, dig on the side, but that was just ridiculous. Taika Waititi, I don't know, you're like a one-trick pony, bro. So yes, it was nice to see actual Thor that I could trust, Thor that I would go into battle with. There's Loki, his brother. He appears, and now here's one of the TV shows I'll mention. He's still working for the TVA. That's the time variance. So they essentially, the time variance authority, they make sure everything's okay in the other timeline, so it doesn't destroy the whole fabric of the universe. Kind of like a Back to the Future plot. Except that rather than just affecting the linear timeline that you're in, it destroys the spaghetti intertwinings of the multiverse. Okay, it's not that I'm not into that. I'm a sci-fi nerd. I love time travel. I like to get stuck into the details sometimes, but I didn't really get off on the TVA show, so whatever. So anyway, he's working for them now, and he goes to different universes, and he has to figure out how to fix it, or possibly even let that universe go, let that planet go, or that timeline go, in order to save the rest of the multiverse. This is Marvel's new shtick. And that's fine. And I'll come back to that in a bit, why he's there and what he's doing. So where is he? They don't quite show it, but those who know, just based on the color palette, you know where he is. We see Black Widow versus the original Mystique. The new Black Widow. See, some of the OGs aren't coming back. Mystique turns into Black Widow, so they're just fighting. And I mean, again, whatever, that's fine. But so here's the ending. This was good. And again, these are all plot leaks. People already knew. You can't help plot leaks. The trailer closes with a huge reveal, and it's Thor, and he's got his Thor hammer, and he goes, it can't be. Is it really you? And then you see the hammer goes into the guy's hand, and everyone knows there's only one other person who was able to wield Thor's hammer, which was Steve Rogers, because he had a pure and altruistic heart. And Mjolnir, that's the hammer. I can never quite say that correctly. Mjolnir. So yeah, and then it pans up, and it's Steve Rogers, Captain America. Look, that's pretty cool. He appears a bit older. He is older. It's been a while. Now this is the important part. He's sporting a longer hair and a beard, and so it's immediately sort of sparking theories about where he's been all these years. Because again, look, this is a spoiler. I can't help it. You have to say this in order to make sense. At the end of Endgame, he had the opportunity because, Tony Stark invented time travel. Hooray. Good on him. And so there was the option for him to go back in time and live out the life he originally wanted, but was lost from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, from after World War II, with his girlfriend, and he chose to do that. And then he is seen at the end of that movie as an old man, and he passes the torch to Sam to be the new Captain America. So he's not the young, clean cut young version. He couldn't be anyway. The actual actor has aged, but he is looking a little bit haggard and like, so where have you been? You're not the aged one. You're not the young one. You're sort of in between. So the thought is that that's where Loki was, and based on the surroundings, you could tell that he was in that, I don't know what kind of 50s lighting. There's just a certain way that tend to light scenes when they want to look like the 50s, kind of a hazy glow. So he was in that time, or he was on whatever planet Steve was on, and he was there essentially to say, we need you. So yeah, he had traveled back in time, and yeah, he's also, again, there's theories he's possibly living on whether it was one of the other planets that was going to be destroyed. The point is he's being recruited by Loki to come back and help once again. So, I guess my thoughts are: is this just another multiverse madness movie? Because that just gets old. It's just a boring MacGuffin for a plot. It's just a convenient excuse to put every character on screen without giving them a meaningful reason to be there. They're just there. Why are they all here? The multiverse. Hey, Hulk. Hey, Thor. How you doing? Hey, Iron Man's alive again. Everyone's here. Why not? It's the multiverse. And you put that many people in it, and that was the original teaser we got months ago, which was this long, ridiculous pan of empty director's chairs, and at the end of it was Robert Downey Jr. But I don't know. This needs to be 10 movies. So yeah, that's my fear. And also, they're trying to recreate that magic of Endgame. And as I said at the start, it's hard to do that because you haven't earned it yet. You've had a lot of this most recent phase has had a lot of whatevers and flops and characters that no one got into, and going off in too many directions that nobody wanted to invest in. So that's not going to happen. This is not that first 10-year run, which was really, and again, I props to that. It was fantastic, and it worked. Endgame worked because the audience had spent over a decade emotionally invested in those characters. Simple as that. So you care about it. Hurts when one of them dies and something changes, and you have followed all their journey for years. And again, it's all, I get you. It's hard to recreate that. You can't manufacture that emotional payoff, simply by assembling a huge cast. They're all here. Member berries, everyone cry and be sad or cheer. You can't force it. So the audience investment isn't the same. And I mentioned a couple Marvel movies. There's that one, and then there's Spider-Man coming out. And that's Tom Holland's Spider-Man, who I think he's fine. And Spider-Man, although it's Marvel, it's still the rights owned by Sony, and I have to admit they've always done really well to have a consistency and keep it a little bit different feel. And I don't think there's been a Spider-Man movie that flopped. Tobey Maguire, obviously the GOAT. The first three, fantastic. Two is arguably the best one. 3 went off the rails a bit, but still good character. Andrew Garfield, I thought those were good too. It was a little bit of a different take. And you could tell because the audience showed up when they were all on the screen together, when they were in that crossover multiverse and Spider-Man. Everyone cheered when Andrew Garfield came out. Everyone cheered when Tobey Maguire came out. So Spider-Man, even if it's not that good, I'll be honest, it's going to be a hit. It's going to make all of its money. I'm going to go see that. I'm invested in Spider-Man. What can I say? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Spider-Man works, I think they've gone in a consistent direction. And I think Sony is part of that, keeping Marvel from going completely off the rails. And it's generally had strong directing, I think focused on storytelling and memorable supporting actors. Spider-Man always has sort of genuine emotional stakes. It doesn't feel forced. So that one I'm looking forward to more. I don't know. I'm a bit torn. So, look, visually, when I was younger, I used to be obsessed with special effects, and it's not that I'm not, but I guess for me, I grew up in the world of more practical effects, and then it was about being fooled and not knowing. And no, it's not that I'm anti-CGI, because I still think Jurassic Park looks like $1 billion. It does. It's about the artist. I'm sorry, it is. They didn't have the technology as mature as it was today, but I challenge anyone to see the original Jurassic Park from the early 90s, for God's sake. And they knew their boundaries. They knew where they could put it and where they had to pull back. They knew when to use the animatronic T-Rex. And of course that worked, because you can't help practical effects, but they knew when it had to move. And there's even behind the scenes where Steven Spielberg had some outtakes of different stop motions. He was still trying the world of stop motion, and he just wanted the dinosaurs to come to life. And that looked just too cheesy. And at that time, the special effects were emerging with the CGI and the computer graphics. And to this day, because, the lighting a bit dark and the motion and the rain, when it goes from the mechanical dinosaur and then it snaps to a scene of the humans, it go back and then the dinosaur's running after you, I'm sorry. And I'm looking for it now. And I know, I've seen the strings. I've seen behind the scenes. I can still immerse myself in Jurassic Park and go, yep, that dinosaur's real and it's about to eat them. And it's terrifying. I'm serious. So that movie is that old and still holds up to this day. And the sequels, they look good too, but then Jurassic Park has gotten out of control because it's just the same thing over and over. But the first one, still very believable. They knew the boundaries of the right mix of special effects and practical effects. So yes, does the trailer look good? Will the effects be great? Yeah. But it's sad that I'm bored talking about that. Someone who is still fascinated in movies and certainly special effects. So and seeing the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, Thunderbolts, and Doom all sharing the screen, of course that'll be exciting. You want to see it. You're going to want to go and go, I saw that. All right. But, spectacle alone won't carry a 3-hour blockbuster. I don't know. Because once that first weekend is over, then people start talking. People start talking while they're in the movie. It makes me sad. I wish we lived in a world where you could just wait. I wish we could give movies a chance. That's another situation too, which I've talked about before. Whether it's a small movie or a big movie, word of mouth is huge. It always has been. Now it's just quicker. Used to be slower. Used to be actual word of mouth, which spread around town. Now it's being, immediate SMS to everyone around the globe. In some ways, it's not fair. I'll be honest, whether it is a blockbuster or an independent movie. It's not fair because the whole audience who has different taste hasn't had a chance to look at it, because we all have different opinion. That's the point of a movie. It's like art. Some people look at a piece of art and go, that looks like a splattered tomato. It's stupid. And someone else goes, I'm $10 million. I want that. That is beautiful. That's art. That's movies. That's music. So it does make me sad that, and I'm doing this right now. I have an opinion, but again, it's just an opinion. And if my opinion is shared by millions, then you have to start to think, is the opinion more on the side of factual? But a movie's not given time to breathe anymore before it's given the thumbs up or thumbs down. That's a bit harsh. And the biggest question is, whether Marvel can assemble everyone. They can do that. It's whether they can tell a story that makes us genuinely care about them. And I'm cautiously optimistic. That's where I'll leave you. I'm cautiously optimistic, but still worried that could just be a very expensive collection of cameos, and not the next great Avengers movie. But there's always hope. You never know. Definitely looking forward to Spider-Man though. All right. Well, that was my half normies, half nerd out opinion about Marvel Doomsday trailer. As more come out, I'll definitely talk about it, and I will definitely be watching the movie for a full review when that comes out. All right, more great music up next on Radio in Motion's Tuesday Trouble. Hope you're getting in the mood for that because it's coming. All right, we'll be right back after word from our awesome sponsors.